Welcome, songwriters! Today, we're exploring two powerful techniques that can take your lyrics to the next level: imagery and metaphor. These tools are used by some of the greatest songwriters to create vivid, emotional experiences for their listeners. When used effectively, imagery and metaphor transform simple lyrics into something much more meaningful, allowing your audience to connect with your song on a deeper level. In this video, we'll explore how to incorporate these techniques into your songwriting to evoke emotions, paint pictures, and turn abstract feelings into tangible, relatable experiences. 1. The power of imagery. Imagery is all about painting a picture with words. When you use imagery in your lyrics, you are inviting your listener to visualize what you're describing, creating a stronger emotional connection to your song. The goal is to appeal to the senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch, so that the listener doesn't just hear your song, but experiences it. Use specific, concrete descriptions. The key to strong imagery is being specific. Instead of saying something vague like, "the sun was shining," try something more detailed like, "the golden rays sliced through the morning mist." This gives the listener something to latch onto and imagine clearly in their mind. The more specific you are, the more vivid the image becomes, drawing your listener into the scene you're setting. Appeal to the senses. Don't limit yourself to visual imagery. Use language that evokes all the senses. Describing sounds, textures, and even tastes can add layers to your song. For example, instead of just saying, "I'm feeling sad," you could say, "My heart is a heavy stone sinking deep in a silent sea." This approach not only conveys the emotion, but also creates an image that the listener can see and feel, making the sadness more tangible. Metaphor and action. Concrete versus abstract language. Let's look at how imagery can turn abstract emotions into something concrete. Abstract emotions like love, longing, and grief are hard to express because they can feel intangible. But when you wrap those feelings in vivid imagery, they become easier to understand and relate to. For example, instead of just singing "I feel love," you might say, "Your love is a fire that burns through my soul." Now, the emotion of love is something you can visualize and even almost feel physically. 2. Using metaphor to deepen meaning. Metaphor is one of the most effective ways to communicate complex emotions and ideas without explicitly stating them. A metaphor compares two things that are unrelated but share some common traits, creating a deeper meaning through symbolism. Metaphors add a layer of richness to your lyrics, making them more thought-provoking and emotionally resonant. Making abstract emotions tangible. While imagery paints a specific picture, metaphor adds a symbolic layer to the song. Instead of saying, "I am sad," you might say, "I'm a ship lost in a storm," implying the feeling of being adrift and powerless. This adds depth and intrigue to the song, allowing the listener to interpret the metaphor in their own way, which makes your song more personal and universal at the same time. How to create powerful metaphors. To craft a good metaphor, think about the core of the emotion or idea you want to express. Then, find something that represents that idea. For example, if you're writing about heartbreak, you might use metaphors that involve a shattered object, like "my heart's a broken mirror." Or, if you're writing about hope, you might compare it to a flower blooming in the dark. The key is to make sure the metaphor speaks to the emotion you're trying to convey. 3. Imagery and metaphor in song structure. Now that we've covered the basics, let's talk about how to incorporate imagery and metaphor into your song structure. Song lyrics tend to be shorter than traditional poetry, so every word counts. Using imagery and metaphor strategically can elevate each line and make your song memorable. Opening with strong imagery. Your opening lines are your chance to hook your listener. If you begin with a striking image or metaphor, you'll immediately capture their attention. For instance, in the song "Black Hole Sun" by Soundgarden, the opening line, "In my eyes, indisposed, in disguise as no one knows," uses imagery that draws listeners into a mysterious, emotional world. Refrains and choruses. Choruses are the heart of most songs, and they often carry the emotional weight. This is a great place to use metaphors that sum up the central theme of your song. Imagine a song about love that uses the metaphor of a wildflower in the chorus to symbolize freedom and beauty, something simple but powerful. The refrain becomes more than just a repeating part. It's a poetic statement that resonates with listeners. Building complexity over time. As your song progresses, you can layer more metaphors and imagery, creating a sense of depth and development. Start with a simple, straightforward image in the verse, then build to more complex or layered metaphors in the chorus. This gives your song a sense of evolution, as the listener uncovers more meaning as they go along. 4. The benefits of imagery and metaphor. Why should you use imagery and metaphor in your songwriting? These techniques not only make your songs more vivid and emotionally engaging, but they also help you communicate more complex ideas in a way that's memorable. Evoke strong emotions. When you use imagery and metaphor, you're not just telling a story or describing a feeling. You're giving your listener a shared experience. The vivid pictures you paint, combined with the emotional depth of metaphors, allow your audience to connect with your song on a personal level, making the experience more impactful. Create universality. Metaphors, in particular, allow you to communicate something deeply personal while still making it relatable to others. For example, the metaphor of a storm in my heart can resonate with anyone who has experienced inner turmoil. These metaphors are symbolic, so they can mean different things to different people, broadening the emotional appeal of your song. Make your song stand out. Songs with strong imagery and metaphors tend to be more distinctive and memorable. Think about how certain phrases or metaphors from popular songs stay with you long after the song ends. The song Firework by Katy Perry uses a strong metaphor, "You're a firework," that adds depth to the message and sticks with the listener long after hearing it. 5. Avoiding cliché and overused metaphors. While metaphors and imagery are effective, it's important to avoid overused or cliché phrases that can make your song feel stale. For example, using "my heart is a broken glass" or "love is a battlefield" are tired metaphors that listeners have heard many times before. To keep your lyrics fresh, try to find new, unexpected comparisons or images that speak to the emotions you're conveying. Think about your unique perspective and how you can use metaphor to describe your experience in a new and vivid way. The more personal and original your metaphors, the more likely they are to resonate with your audience. Conclusion. Imagery and metaphor are invaluable tools in songwriting, helping you elevate your lyrics, deepen the emotional impact, and create songs that stand out. By using vivid imagery to paint pictures in the listener's mind and metaphors to add layers of meaning, you'll be able to transform your abstract emotions into something concrete and relatable. So the next time you sit down to write, try using these techniques to bring your songs to life in a way that's both powerful and memorable. Happy writing, and may your songs always be full of rich imagery and thought-provoking metaphors.